September the 23rd gardens. Although many garden plants are now looking dishevelled, with more fruit than flower, there are still a great many to be seen. September is a particularly good time to look for interesting late summer perennials, especially composites. Various climbers and plants which used only to be seen in conservatories, with the advent of global warming, are starting to be seen outdoors more and more. There are also a number of autumn bulbs which are now at their best. The flowers most often noticed tend to be sunflowers, fuchsias, asters, penstemons, agapanthus, nicotiana, salvias, echinops, sedums, nebesias, stocks, and endless geraniums and petunias in terracotta pots and window boxes. In parks, it is abutilons, cannas, begonias, hibiscus, coleus, and ricinus that currently seem to be favourites in bedding schemes. In herbaceous borders, you can usually expect to find monarda, echinacea, Rudbeckia, helenium, coreopsis, phygelia, Lovelia cardinalis, and the ever-popular Japanese anemones. In water gardens, there are still lilies, but it is worth seeking out the intensely blue piccolo weed, Pontidaria cordata, which can be seen at Wisley. Other eye-catchers are the vivid blue Ceratostigmas and lithospermums, vivid red kaffir lily, Schizostylus, and glowing pinks of Crinum powellii, and the colchicums. Nearly all the plants we notice this month have been introduced from other countries all over the world. For example, Ceratostigma from China, kaffir lily, South Africa, penstemons from Mexico, and hibiscus, which is said to have originally, quote, been transplanted from the gardens of Africa to the gardens of the curious. One of the great joys of the month are the autumn bulbs, whose rapid flowering is often associated with the first rains of autumn in their home countries. Most famous of these are the leafless colchicums, which originate in stony hillsides in southern Europe. Their roots and seeds were used to treat severe gout and rheumatism, often with the unfortunate side effect of violent purging. Too large a dose and you could even be poisoned. A woman in the old Covent Garden market died after eating a colchicum bulb, confusing it for an onion. Their flowers almost seem to glow when seen in woodland, and a fine collection of garden varieties can be seen at Wisley, with colchicum rosy dawn possibly topping the list for colour. Another group of bulbs with pink flowers seen this month are the shocking pink nerines. In 1659, a Dutch ship set off from Japan and was shipwrecked along the shores of Guernsey in the English Channel. Some bulbs which were part of its cargo washed up and went on to establish themselves. Being so beautiful, they were encouraged, and some were sent to Covent Garden Market to be sold. Demand quickly outstripped supply for what was then thought to be Japanese lilies. It was only later their true home was discovered to be the southern Cape of Africa and Table Mountain in particular. One of the most impressive and common to be seen in London gardens is Nerine bowdenii. It was named after a Mr. Bowden, who had the foresight in the late 19th century to send some bulbs to his mother in Devon and ask her to grow them. The other smaller bulbs we see looking so fresh beneath trees now are the cyclamens. They arrived much earlier, in the late 16th century, and were called sourbreds, as they were thought to be eaten by wild boars, especially in Sicily. Apothecaries sold them in the belief they could halt hair loss if placed in the nostrils. They were also popular with would-be lovers, as it was thought whoever was encouraged to eat them would fall madly in love. Another extravagant claim was that they hastened childbirth. Consequently, pregnant women were afraid to walk near them, and they would surround them by sticks to avoid accidental encounters. Cyclamen hederifolium, with all its varieties and leaf patterns, is the one we see the most, although in windows we may notice the non-hardy indoor cyclamens which originate from Persia. Sunflowers are one of the most loved of all garden plants, with many Londoners at this time of year competing to reach the horticultural standard height of 16 feet. Being such an emblem of the sun, they were grown by the Incas, who even carved them into their temples. The ones we see originally came from North America, where even modern red ones are still bred today in Colorado. Gauguin noted that Van Gogh loved them so much he had over a dozen paintings of them in his bedroom. Two other ubiquitous garden plants this month are Michaelmas daisies and Japanese anemones. As the first of these seed so freely, we also see it covering areas of waste ground. The one most often seen is Aster Nova Belgii, which was named after New Amsterdam, now New York, where its seeds were first collected in the 17th century. There are over 300 different Michaelmas daisies, and they hybridize so easily that it is little wonder the American botanist Asa Gray called them, quote, a rascally genus that reduced her to despair. In England, they were not thought at first sufficiently ornamental to include in our gardens until William Robinson, the Irish Victorian gardener and owner of Greytime Manor, brought them back into popularity. Now we can see a host of showy pink forms all over London. For some bizarre reason, Japanese anemones are often now the sole flower to be seen in many London front gardens. They originate in China rather than Japan, and were introduced there by a botanist living in Nagasaki. It was Robert Fortune who first brought them to England, having found some growing in a Shanghai churchyard in 1844. Many climbers have now had time to reach a good height, and so we tend to notice them more, especially trumpet vines, campses, common saucer vines, cabaya, and climbing nasturtiums, trapaiolum. Rarer climbers such as Theandiantha dubia can be seen at Kew and Ipomaea lobata at Wisley. They're worth seeking out, as well as the strange climbing geranium at Chelsea Physic Garden. One final garden plant that causes a little amusement if found this month is Miss Wilmott's ghost, Eryngium giganteum. Legend has it that the once fabulously rich Miss Wilmott, who lived at Worley in Essex, employed over 100 gardeners. Notoriously tetchy, she is said to have asked Queen Victoria on a royal visit to keep to the path. She has also come to be known for always secretly discarding the seeds of an Iranian sea holly, Eryngium giganteum, when visiting other people's gardens. This resulted in steel blue flowers with ghostly white bracts appearing at some time in the future to remind everyone of her visit.